we have a question here from Nathan on YouTube. How do you convince a techie to work for 3 to 5% equity? So I'm sure you get this a lot. I'm sure a lot of people probably want you guys to just do your software or app development for just equity, So what do you say to these people? What do you recommend people do? I mean, I can speak to this a little bit as well. It's finding a technical co-founder is one of the hardest things to do ever as an entrepreneur. So if you can find somebody to work just for equity, definitely, and they're legit, definitely, do that, as fast as you can. More cases than not, I know you mentioned freelancers. I know you mentioned agencies. It really depends on your budget, how much money you have, right? If you don't have a lot of money, try to do as much as you can yourself with some no-code tools, hire some freelancers to do some stuff as well, and kind of piece things together one by one. If you do have some money, definitely try to find a solid agency to do it. Overseas agencies are obviously, you're going to get way more bang for your buck with like Filip and his team versus if you go with a US-based agency, yeah, you might be in the same city as them or whatever, but you're probably going to spend 3 to 5 times as much money. So
sure, let me try to answer this question because that's one of the most crucial things for teams. And we worked with startups almost exclusively. So we saw very successful startups and those who just argued and it didn't work out. And what we see most toxic for startups, it's not market, it's not apps, it's people that don't get well with each other, and they just argue. They're in good fit. So I think the biggest danger here starting a startup is finding wrong people. So I would say these. Don't get me wrong, you're not gonna get a co-founder that you give 3 or 5%. I was talking more about a technical advisor, someone you can call from time to time and be like, hey, can you double check if this guy I'm talking with as a trustworthy guy, or this girl is a good person to work with? I would avoid just meeting someone and after a week be like, all right, let's split the company 50-50 because you know something I don't know, because it's a very cheap sell of your ideas, maybe millions of dollars in the future.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think it's something that one thing that I have learned over the last few years, you really want to make sure and actually just work with people until you have anything super formal, give any equity out, because people might talk a good game, whatever, but until you actually work with them for several months, you're not really going to know if it's a good fit. So when you get into a situation, especially if you're doing, I would never do 50-50 with anyone. Someone should always be 51%. At least, because if you do 50-50, you could get into a situation where you're just in a total stalemate and then the company doesn't go anywhere. So I would always try to get at least 51 or vice versa or whatever, and make sure someone's putting in a little bit more money or something. But definitely I think that's spot on with what you said, especially with the advisor. Like, we have a tech advisor. He's helped us tremendously. I run any developer. I'm like, hey, talk to this guy. He'll vet them and flush it out if they're legit or not. And we have another question here, which ties into that. How do you know an app developer is legit, right? Like, how do you know that they've done this before? And I can answer it from my perspective, which is I've hired a lot of freelancers. I've worked with agencies. We have a CTO now and whatever. So I've experienced a lot of different things. The biggest thing is find people who they have a portfolio. You can check out their GitHub. They have products that they've shipped. They haven't just worked on teams where they've built apps. They've actually built them themselves, right? That's another big thing, is a lot of people will put this crazy portfolio of all these great apps, but they were like a part of the team that built that. So they didn't really even build that much of it. So I'll let Filip, I'll let you answer it as well.
Sure. This is a very tough question because you never know starting with as I said at the beginning, people are the most important factor in startups always. And at the very beginning, it's really hard to check if someone is doing the job right, and it's worth trusting. So it's really hard to answer this easily, but I would go for having a mentor, technical mentor or advisor, as guys from Entre have, helps this process largely, because if you have no technical experience, you will need someone you trust. So if you really don't have anyone you can trust, you should be just trying and working on some very simple things, and don't start from promising like 20-30% for doing something for a month or two. Keep on paying at the beginning and see, all right, we've done some tests, it worked out. We've done this MVP at the beginning and it worked out. Oh, this is person I want to work with. We've done something simple and we can try it out. So I guess just try, fail, and try again. It's the best solution here. Also with people. What I see often with startups also, it's success actually kills relationships. So if people aren't tested in extreme circumstances, they might be working well together if there is no money to share. But as soon as money show up, people are starting to fight for money. So that's another reason that you don't know people before working with them for a really longer period of time, and you shouldn't be promising too much to people you don't know too well.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's spot on. If people have any other questions, now is the time to ask them. We have a few. I know we have a little bit of time left here. It's a good, the other point too with the advisors and having some people that you can trust. It's hard to even get those though too, right? Because how do you know if you don't have a technical background? How do you know that you can even, like, if you're looking for a technical advisor, right? How do you even know what to look for in that person then either, right? So everything that I look at, I really look for people that can prove they have industry expertise, right? Whether it's the advisor, the developer, the agency, whatever. I want to know who have they worked with, what products have they shipped, and are those products successful, right? And if the answer is yes to those, and I can clearly see their products in that are live and that are out there, and they're looking great, and they work fantastic, then that kind of seals the deal, right? But if I come across people who they talk a good game, but then when I'm like, well, can you send me some of your apps or your portfolio? And then I check those out, and they're not like cutting edge apps or like modern apps. They're very generic or old school. Then that tells me a lot about the company too, and what kind of work that they've done. So
let me follow up on this real quick one more time, because I think I didn't underline it strongly enough here, and it's crucial. How do you even know you need a tech person? Because very often people start doing business from looking for a technical person. But how do you even know, what's your evidence that you need an app? Because very often people just want, I want this app. And they're like the guy from the presentation, that perfect formula man, that thinks that he already has an idea, everything's structured, but he has no evidence from the market that this is what people need. And the first tests you can do yourself. You can do simple web page that gets first 1,000 people. And once you get feedback from them, you have a line people waiting for you to release the app. Then you're like, okay, that's exactly what I need, because that's what people are asking for. And if you do it the other way, you will just get plenty of frustration, because you get to people with basically no requirement, because you still don't know what to do, and that's just not the good approach to do it.